Alright, so now it's time to go over Troy Dye. So he doesn't have all of his measurements. So what I do have of it is he was measured at 6'3", 231, 32 and 1/4 inch arms, and 9 and 3/8 inch hands. So I think he sees too many plays just a half second too late, and as a result, sometimes he's kind of scrapping over the top or shading coverage in zone. And I think he has elite physical tools to still make plays, but the margin for error is going to be diminished when he comes to this NFL level. And I think he'd, greatly benefit just from working on, just trying to anticipate and key attacks into the line of scrimmage. Just normal tackling, tremendous range. He has led the Ducks in tackling for, tackles just for years. And I think he'll influence more plays than he often should, given just the athleticism and explosiveness. His long arms kind of provide a notable tackle radius as well. Is a plus tackler, but could clean up some contact balance on plays that kind of test the reach or are on the edge of that line of scrimmage, just to be a little bit more consistent of a finisher. But overall, just normal tackling, like if you're worried about that, don't be. He's going to be fine. So when it comes to just shedding his blocks, those long arms are a massive weapon for him, just in how he plays. And you kind of see him consistently stack blockers with his reach, and he has some pretty good pop in his hands too, just to kind of stun offensive linemen and tight ends. And he will offset a forward push and sit down just to stack blockers and hold the ground. And he will pair his stack skills with lateral mobility and just good upper body strength to disengage, which is really nice. Do not ever question this guy's toughness. He played a majority of just that Washington game with a broken thumb, and I don't even think he left the field. He has a lot of explosiveness in his frame to provide some jarring hits, and his rally skills to the ball are just excellent. And when considering his effort level, it's just like an overall range, like that's perfect. You don't have to mess with that. His lateral mobility, sideline to sideline, that kind of range is very good and allows him to consistently work to the ball. Short area quickness is pretty sudden. He'll take offensive linemen by surprise if he's kind of twisting or crashing across a gap, kind of with those stunts. And some offensive linemen are just going to slide their feet toward him and keep him framed sufficiently at the point of attack. But for the most part, he's able to beat them with just his length and quickness. I wouldn't recommend working him in man-to-man until he adds some more polish, though, when it comes to actual covering, because I know he is a really good athlete, but man-to-man isn't something I'm really too keen on right now. He has a lot of eagerness just to kind of get in the way of those routes, but often does so by just abandoning leverage and just overextending with that reach, and then all of a sudden he's beat. So I think he's a lot better in zone coverage, mainly underneath, and his ability just to key the quarterback and breaking the ball in zone is not really where he makes his living. But if you keep him in underneath coverage where he can use that range and length to kind of get his arms up all the time, I think he's fine. And he can really get downhill in a hurry when he decides it's time to shoot a gap, and he tends to blow people up. So that could even just be a blocker or the ball carrier, which is really nice. And sometimes I wish his anticipation was just a bit better so he could utilize his explosiveness to beat blockers to the spot a little bit more consistently and or square up the ball carrier. But even the ball itself to cause some more fumbles. But it is what it is. I like that ability that he can shoot gaps like that, because it kind of gives you a hint of what that potential could be. His feet are very fluid. He has quick feet and transitional quickness. It doesn't really suffer at steeper angles either. He could be more disciplined and kind of gear down and ensure he's not overrunning contact, but he does have some bad habits there. But the physical skill set is an elite athlete that will help him just overcome some of those poor tackle fits. So even if he's doing it wrong, he has a lot of physical gifts that will kind of make him right, which is really nice because, if you do get him right, all of a sudden you have this super consistent player. And his flexibility, I think he has a really good range of motion just through his hips and his rotational range of motion. It's a lot more noticeable when he's kind of scraping over plays to keep his pad square, or when he's hinging to hit landmarks in zone coverage in those underneath areas like I mentioned before. And it helps that he's super long as well, so that's really helpful in zone coverage and as a tackler. And his first step explosiveness, he's got some rockets on his legs. Because when he's able just to open his strides and attack, acceleration is very, very notable. And his long speed and foot races down the sidelines looks really strong. I like his ability just to generate power in short spaces to stun blockers as well. I'm a little disappointed we didn't get to see him test more, because I would have been really interested to see what those 40 times would be in those 10-yard splits and things like that with this one, because we're talking about a tremendous athlete. And it kind of makes me wonder if Barr can be used finally. I almost don't even want to mention it because it's like, oh, you get your hopes up again just for nothing. But oftentimes they may not be using Barr just because, as a down pass rusher, just because it's hard to replace that length and that athleticism. Troy Dye kind of replaces both of that. So you might start to see some packages where Anthony Barr can be used as a pass rusher, which is a beautiful thing, because we've only waited, 6 years for this? So yeah, I'm hoping that's the case, because I can definitely see a rotational role where this guy is on the field, because I don't know if he can surpass Eric Wilson as the third linebacker, but I definitely think Gideon is kind of put on notice with this one, because he offers so much more than Ben Gideon does. It's insane. And as long as he can stay healthy, I think we're good there. Would like to know your guys' comments down below. And, like and subscribing, always a helpful thing. And until next time, I bid y'all adieu.